But meantime, calls to defend the police are intensifying across the country by those seeking true change when it comes to policing here in this country, something they say is a systematic problem. And as we highlighted last week, a lot of people have been turning to the example set in Camden, New Jersey to learn more about how defunding police could actually work, what it would actually look like, and recall why Camden garnered so much attention in the first place. If you recall the scene of its chief of police marching hand in hand with Black Lives Matter protesters, avoiding the violent scenes that we've plagued other cities. And that's been the trend there for a while. As we noted, we chatted with the chief of police here on the show last week. And ever since the city disbanded its police force back in 2012 to create a county community-oriented police force instead, the city has seen a noted drop in both complaints of force as well as a noted 42% drop in violent crime. So the question is that due to aggressive police reform, or is this decision to defund police and disband that city force 8 years ago to shift resources elsewhere, or is it both? And here to discuss that is the mayor of Camden, New Jersey. Frank Moran joins us now. Mayor Moran, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I mean, this is a tricky issue because defunding the police is not even necessarily something that's agreed upon in definition. But let's stick to what happened in your city here. Of course, the town disbanded its unionized police force, hired back half of those cops, brought on new recruits, which brought down the price per officer quite substantially. It also allowed you to shift funds elsewhere to revitalize your community. So what in your mind do you think really fueled the rebound of Camden, and what deserves the credit here?
Well, Zach, once again, thank you for this opportunity. Let me say that I was out there marching with these individuals 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, and it was just an amazing thing to see the community, clergy, business owners, police, elected officials come together and put forth the message that we're all feeling at a time like this with the injustice that's taking place across the country. But to set an example, and the example has been set because we've been working on this for the last 10 years, literally. Camden, New Jersey, which is my home, born and raised here, raised my children here. 10 years ago, we were realizing all-time high numbers in violent crimes, burglaries. I mean, we were number one for the most dangerous city in the nation. And more importantly, the resources, we were strapped as a city. And I was actually serving as council president at the time. And it was the political will and the collaboration of various levels of government, clergy, community, business owners that put our personal agendas aside and realized that we had to do something to save our city. And that's why we're having this dialogue today. Camden today has a 50-year low in violent crime. Our police officers are out in the street working with our youth, having pop-up barbecues and Mr. Softy, and just all the great community policing that takes to really give the recognition to the department that we are about de-escalating and building a rapport in the community, and we've been successful with that.
And you talk about those efforts. I mean, when we talked to your chief of police, he rightfully noted it's one of the most progressive use of force policies. That obviously has been a years-long effort in getting that done, working with the ACLU, New York University's policing project, and kind of working those rules into the training of officers. But a lot of people rightfully pointing out that I don't know if it's necessarily a perfect example of defunding the police, because you guys now have seen costs come back up. You disbanded the city force, but you also had double the officers there with your new county force. So when you look at the idea of defunding the police, would you say that it's a good one? I mean, the idea is that you cut down costs and redistribute those to other city services, whether it be education or mental health resources. I mean, what would you say is good or bad about the idea of defunding the police?
No, let me say this. We did not defund the police. We took the current police department as it once was, and city council took the action to dissolve that department, simultaneously lifting a partnership with the county who created the Camden County Metro Department. We had then Governor Chris Christie, our state legislators, our county partners in Camden County, as well as our municipal leader at the time, which was Dana Red, myself as council president, once again, to have the political will to bring real change. Because at the end of the day, the exorbitant costs and the amount of crime that was occurring just didn't make sense. And we believe that what we did, we had something. We brought in the best and the brightest, the blue ribbon panel. We had studies from DC and the Obama administration. And this wasn't just, a shoot from the hip. This was literally a lot of work. This was a lot of commitment, a lot of will. And today our officers, some people think it's cheesy, but our officers will pop up and they'll open up a grill and they'll grill hot dogs with their kids. It's about building rapport, trust, and confidence within the community. And, I'm not the only one saying it. Residents across the city are saying it. And then more importantly is to train your officers to know the culture of the community in which you are policing. You need to get to know who you are policing. And that's what we pride ourselves in.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this, Mayor, because this is kind of one of the pieces, and I'm glad you said that it's not exactly a perfect example of defunding the police, because we just heard from Minneapolis Police Chief talking about how he's thinking about withdrawing from that city's negotiations with the union contracts when it comes to policing. My question to you would be whether or not you'd be able to institute that shift in culture when it comes to policing in Camden without disbanding the police force, because a lot of people might say, all right, fine. I mean, if you're going to keep funding there, we talk about Minneapolis rebuilding its police force and dismantling it there. I mean, is that what you attribute the success in Camden to? Because it wasn't a unionized police force when it began in 2013, the county force. It has now since become a unionized police force. Costs are rising now. Your city dedicates about a third of its budget to its police force. So a lot of people are saying that it's become a problem when you think about how much money is now going to your police force. So what would you say about that and the role of unions and really kind of trying to adjust culture and cost?
Zach, under the old regime, there was no way we could accomplish what we've been able to accomplish. We had to do what we did, and that was abolish the department. Once again, the exorbitant numbers to run a department and the amount of crime that was running rampant, it just didn't make sense. Today, the investment continues to grow. They do have the Fraternal Order of Police as their union. But the return is what I'm looking at. The return is the reduction in crime, the confidence in the police. Police officers are going into the schools and reading books to children. Police officers are handing out bicycle helmets. Police officers are doing what 101 should be doing. It is literally working hand in hand with the community. And I believe that the investment in which we're making now, in terms of the amount that it's costing us, it's well worth it. And that's what I can tell you at this point. I don't know if this may work for Minneapolis or any other city, but one thing I could tell you, it has worked for Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah, when you talk about it working for Camden, obviously it's a very different situation for a lot of different cities out there. But the idea of investing in your police force seems to be one that is right now very much in question. What would you say to the idea of some cities and some politicians, advocates coming out and saying that it might be better to straight up abolish police forces in some towns? What would you say to that idea?
Listen, I believe, I'm going to be quite honest, I have a son who first served this country in the military and then subsequently became a police officer. In another district, obviously. My daughter-in-law is also a police officer. A nephew of mine is a state police officer in Florida. They're law enforcement in my family, so I have a soft part in my heart for them. And we do have a lot of great officers here. And you need to have someone well-trained and understanding the community when you dial 911 and you need them. With that, I say you have to really look at your department and make the structural changes that you have to make to improve it. You can't just agree to disagree and then continue to police. I don't think the solution, to be quite honest with you, is to completely abolish and then who's going to respond to the 911 call. It took us literally years in the making to get where we are. To create a department, to abolish a department, simultaneously create a department. At no time did the residents of Camden have no protection. Whenever you dial 911, officers were reporting. It was that fluid. It was that tedious, the work that we had to do, and we were successful at it. Are we there yet? No, but we have a community that is at peace, a community that continues to say, I want to voice my opinions. I am bothered by what I've seen in other departments and how police handle minorities, us minorities across the country, and something has to be done. I'm just once again happy that, you know, we are where we are, and we're going to continue to traject. Now, let me add this, Zach, if I may.
I think right there it pretty much sums it up for what we've got here time for, because I think it's perfect to end on the note that this is not a simple one size fits all fix. And it does take a lot of different things here in terms of levers being pulled, and we've seen that play out. But no question as to why people are focusing on the example set in Camden, New Jersey. Mayor Frank Moran, appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you, Zach.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.